Okay. So I just took time out to refer to this booklet uh, because 2-3 weeks ago, it just so happened that Brother Mamdou had mentioned that, getting to know about the Quran or Quranic words and whatever, and then there are booklets that show that if you memorize these, then you will know 80% or 90% or whatever percentages these various booklets say are available, and one can do that. So I'm going to do that for you, and I'm going to explain some of the clarification that I believe is needed. And the third part of this booklet is where I'm going to hone in, and I will need your full attention there. But the Quran is not a magic, nor is any book written in a language that you don't understand can give you magical solutions. Okay. If I give here a 1-hour presentation of a certain booklet that was maybe written about 13, 14 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, it's not going to work. I mean, we are all mature enough to know that all that kind of expectation is nonsense. So why am I spending this time? And, I've made these copies and I got these booklets and sent them to you and all that. It's for a purpose. And the purpose is to just make you aware. And only you yourselves can motivate yourselves. So imagine, you are in the United States and the majority here is Christians, and a good chunk of them do go to the church. Imagine that all the conversation or all the book that was being referred to, that is, the Bible, was in Latin and nobody understood Latin. Do you think it would work here? No, they would find a solution to it. It just doesn't work. It just cannot work. I read one book, I read 10 books, I read 50 books. And if I read 50 books in Arabic, I said I read 50 books in Arabic and I didn't understand anything. So what did I achieve? We refuse to be motivated. It's plain and simple. The word is the Quran. And if you don't want to learn the word, then you are not going to learn Quran, which is not to say that you're not a Muslim, which is not to say that you cannot read translation, but you're not going to read the word. And we have to come to terms with it. If you refuse to read or understand the word, now you have the second problem. You have to go into translation. So now you have to put full trust in the individual whose translation you have selected. Your friend comes and says, no, this is not right. I think this is better. So now you have a big challenge there. Well, the reality is that you have a challenge nevertheless. Okay, which of the challenges you will take, it's up to you. Most likely, most of us will not take any challenge that goes towards understanding the word in the language it was put in. We have another challenge. The words that are put into this book are 1450 years old. Okay, so the conjugation, the combination of those words is not up to the modern language of Arabic. So you have several challenges. Okay, and you have to come to terms with that. Whether you come to terms with them at the age 30 or the age 75 or 80, it's up to you. But it is a challenge nevertheless. Accept it, be motivated, don't be motivated. The concern will remain within you. Which stage do I go to and how do I resolve this? Because it has to be resolved one way or the other. If we don't resolve, we'll be in the place we are in currently right now, worldwide. Anyway, enough of this. So let me just proceed with this, as I always do in this one, reflect upon what I just said also, by the way. Okay, so those of you who have the booklet, let's go through this booklet. And as I said, this is the introduction. We'll quickly review these. Number one is the introduction. So I introduced this book with the book back page. So if you the back page says, if you master these word lists, you need to know only 2 out of 9 in each line of the Quran. Yeah, right. The words given in this booklet account for 83% of the total number of words of the Holy Quran. The words listed in the first 6 pages occur very frequently. Some of them occur in combination with each other. They constitute a whopping 41.5% of the total number of words. So the first 6 pages, he is claiming, and he's right, about 40% of Quranic words you have covered. The next pages from 7 to 14, noun pages. He called them noun pages. The better word would be ism in Arabic. And the reason why I'm saying that will become clear as we go on. The next pages, noun pages, and 15 through 33 verb pages. Again, not exactly true, but let's go with that. Verb pages show the number of times that the noun or the verb in the various forms occurs in the Holy Quran. For each verb, this is the 15 through 33 pages, which is where I'm going to put most of my time on. For each verb, the past tense, the imperfect tense, he calls it. Most of you don't know what imperfect tense is. What he means is the present tense. So the past tense verb, the present tense verb, the imperative. The imperative is the command verb. In other words, shut up. That's a command. And I'm telling you, a verb, or if I'm sounding write, recite with an exclamation mark, that recite is a command verb. Some people call it the imperative verb. The active participle, again, many of you would not know what the active participle is. Active participle is he who does the action. So if I say I write, I'm the active participle I, okay? And the process of writing is write, which is a verb. I write. And the verbal noun. The verbal noun is the process of writing. In this case, I'm using the process of writing itself is a verbal noun. Better still, you call it idea. The process of writing is an idea. Similar to I am a Muslim. So Muslim is a ism file, it's called. In English, it will called, you call it, what do you call it? The active participle, okay? But Islam is an idea. In English, Islam would be called a verbal noun. Why a verbal noun? It is a noun, but why a verbal noun? Because Islam has been derived from a word, salama, and from there, salama, you come to Muslim and you come to Islam, and we'll go through that, no problem. These 5 names I'll elaborate on. These are the 5 titles that you'll put on page 15, and we'll go through it. It is assumed that based on this information, you can reproduce the whole verb table. We will go through that. Examples of which are provided at the end of this booklet. Okay, so far so good. That's what the page 5 says. Then we go to the abbreviation page, which is Roman numeral 5. And in that, it says MG, masculine gender, FG, feminine gender. You don't have the booklet. Well, you should be referring to it. You should not. Roman numeral 5, the introducing page, yeah. And it starts with Roman numeral 5, and then it goes to regular numbers, okay. Very quickly, MG is for masculine gender. Remember, he's saying masculine, doesn't saying male, okay? Because male and female appear to the physiology. Feminine and masculine is what the grammar will say is masculine and feminine. Why do I say that? Why do I elaborate on that? In English, you have 3 genders. You have the masculine gender, feminine gender, and neutral gender. The table is a neutral gender. This is a table. I call it. It is a table. It is a neutral gender. Masculine is, we know what masculine, we know what feminine is. In Arabic, there is no neutral gender. Everything is either feminine or masculine. There are only 2 genders in Arabic. So a table, the sun is a feminine, the earth is a feminine. Why? Don't ask me, because the Arab said so. My teacher said, because Arab said so. B-A-S-S, bus. In other words, don't ask me any further question, bus, because the Arab said so, So that's why MG, masculine gender, FG, feminine gender, there is no neutral gender here. Next, it says broken plural, the abbreviation BRPL. This only refers to those verbs which don't make plural in the conventional way. So boys is boys, but child is children. So child, children, that's a broken plural. In other words, it doesn't follow the normal rule. The goose, not gooses, it's geese, okay? Broken plural. Same thing in Arabic. So when you see BRPL, assume that is referring to broken plural. SG singular, DL dual, and PL plural. Why is, in English there is singular and there is plural. In Arabic there is singular, there is dual, and then there is plural. So in other words, there is singular, there is two, and there is more than two is plural. There's a second difference between Arabic and English, okay? The whole Surah Rahman, most of it you will find dual, okay? Rabbikuma, Mim, Alif, that's a dual, okay? So that's that, okay? Now, somebody SB, something ST, somebody or something SS. Why is he putting these? Because there is no neutral gender. And when you come to neutral gender, he will say, well, this is neither masculine, this is neither feminine in English. But in English, it will say, it will have a neutral gender. In Arabic, it will not. And he is going to go around that by putting these. Again, this will also become clear as we go on. So from page 1, the confusion starts, right? Okay. If we go to page 7, and you can read the Quranic verse and the hadith later on, but start at the bottom, it says number 1. What it says is when there are more than one distinctly different meanings of a word that is stated, he puts a semicolon is placed between the two meanings. For similar meanings, in other words, if a word has a similar meaning, another one, a comma is placed. So for example, Ain, 7, yeah, at the bottom is number 1. I started with number 1, note 1, number 1. And what he's saying is that if the word has got different meanings, he's going to put a semicolon next to each other. He'll give example right there on page 8. Now you go. For example, Ain, Ye, and Noon has got meaning eye. It also has got a meaning spring. 2 different meanings, okay? Are you on page 2? Page 8? Yeah. But Ala has got similar meaning, above or up. Similar meanings, he separates it by comma. Different meanings, he separates it by semicolon. Straightforward. Okay. Forget about number 2, because you're not going to be using it, and I don't want to go into a grammar, I don't need to. So now on 3, number 3, he says at the bottom left of the page, in other words, the page that matters, that we go through, what he does is he provides the total number of times the words of that page have occurred in the Quran, okay? So for example, let's go now to page 1, not numeral 1, but page 1. You will go to the bottom, and on the left, you will see words, and it says from first 6 pages, 32,000 words. Okay. Percent for the first 6 pages, 41%. So all he is doing is he's saying the first page words, along with 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The first 6 pages in which he's listing words, he's showing here that if you have memorized these or whatever, then you have seen 32,000 words of the Quran in first 6 pages. Okay, that's what the note number 3 on Roman numeral 8 is saying. That's all. Okay. Number 4 on Roman numeral 8 page. In almost every case, the words are arranged alphabetically to make the search easy. Understood? Fine. Then he says the word forms related to dual, because dual doesn't appear so much in the Quran, and feminine are used sparingly in the Holy Quran. Why is he saying feminine is sparingly? Because it is sparingly used. Versus masculine, feminine gender is much less appears in the Quran. So for now, if you don't worry about the feminine, I'm not being here, you know what. All it's saying is that dual nouns and feminine gender is going to appear sparingly. So at least try to learn the masculine and plural, because that is what most of the Quran has in terms of the plural and in terms of the gender. Because anything that is not masculine is feminine. That's how one looks at the Quran. Anything that's not masculine in Quran is automatically feminine. For almost every verb, samples of the verb are provided in the first line. Now, if you go to the first page of, he says, for every verb type, or note number 6, the verbs start at page 15. Page 15. What he's saying here is for almost every verb type, in other words, all these pages, he's saying that the active voice are provided in the first line. Is everybody here on page 15? Okay. So the first word here on the top right is fa'ala. Okay. On the left in English, it says to do. This fa'ala is what he's saying, an active verb. And I'll let you know in a moment that it is past tense. Okay. So what he's saying is that this first word is an active past tense verb, which is to say in English, he did. Fa'ala, he did. That's all he's saying in that note on page, Roman numeral page 8. And if you were to go down that column, at the bottom, you will find fu'ela. Do you see that word on page 15? Fu'ela. On the left side in English is saying passive voice. That was an active voice, the one who did, fa'ala, on top. At the bottom, he's saying, if you want to say, it was done. In other words, you don't know who did it. It was done, that's passive. He's not showing, it was written. He's not saying who did the writing. Then it would be fu'ela, okay? I will stop there with this, what he's trying to say in note number 6. We are still on that one, okay? And then number 7, what he's saying is that just like in any language, some verbs and nouns of action are always followed by a preposition. For example, believe in, amana bi. In other words, believe in Quran, most of the time will be followed by be. It says believe in, okay? Now I'm going to just forego the last paragraph because it's not important. And I'll now go to the next one, page 1 through 6. So now what we are doing is page 1 through 6, okay? If you look at the exhibit and you remain on page 1, okay? But first look at the exhibit here on the presentation. It covers 41% of the Quranic words on the exhibit here. And the contents on these 6 pages are prepositions, query words like when, where, whose, what, which. Primarily, these words comprise what in Arabic language is called harf. In Arabic, we call these prepositions or these single letter words as harf. There are only 3 kinds of letters in Arabic: a harf, a noun, or an ism, and a fi'l. A noun, what we call ism in English, is noun, but it is not exactly that. Again, I'll come to it in a minute. And then there is the verb, which in Arabic is called fi'l. Okay. So in these first 6 pages, which comprise about 32,000 words of the Quran, which is 40% of the Quran, here is the challenge. There are only 6 pages, you know. I mean, if a person wants to, he can memorize the 6 pages in one day. Because I mean, there are only 13 lines here, really. However, these are words by themselves, they mean nothing. Yeah, I know you can see that. So for example, on page 6, right at the top, you see the word hadha. It says this. Next to it, la. Don't go for ilaha because he has added. Just la, no, or not. If you say hadha, nothing. You don't know. Hadha what? If you say la, no, no to what? You go down here. Zalika, that. That what? So zalika is a harf. Why? Because it by itself, it makes no sense. The definition of a harf is a letter or a word which needs something else with it to mean something. Hadha, it says, Hadha al-kitab. This is a book. So kitab has to come for hadha to mean anything. Otherwise, it's just hadha. And you say, hadha what? Any of these words is like that. So for example, in the middle of the right-hand side says ma, which means not. By itself, nothing. What I'm trying to say is that in these 6 pages, there are these words which are called harf, and they by themselves will mean nothing, yet they form 32,000 words. So the importance of this is, even though by themselves they mean nothing, you have to get to be familiar with these words. Most of them you're familiar with, but you have to now carefully become familiar with it. So for example, again, in the first column from the left, the second word is zalika, that, and then another one comes in after that, and after that, tilka. Both of them in English is that and that. But in those brackets, it says NG, zalika is for masculine and tilka is for feminine. These words by themselves mean nothing. All of them will be joined, will need another word following them in order for them to make sense. But they occur so often that on them by themselves, they occur 32,000 times. So even though you may get bored, even though you may get confused, because a lot of times you see not, for example, in the first page, in the second column, you see lan, it says not. Lam, it says not. Ma, it says not. Laysa, it says not. Okay, you'll get frustrated. But he tries to tell you, when we want to say lam for the past tense, it's lam. When I want to say something for future, it says lan. If I want to say something ma hada, not here, then it is ma. And then there is not, laysa and laysat. Laysa is masculine and laysat in bracket is feminine gender. In these 6 pages, you can get completely lost, you can get completely bored, and you can give up. Okay, the choice is yours. You can give up. I cannot say anything more about this because I just told you there are 32,000 words in the Quran, yet each of this word by itself means nothing. He has given you the meaning, but he says not. He says besides. He says yes. He says those who. He says kum. He says na, hum, huma, antum, ana. Ma again, fawq, tahta, page 3, tahta, fawq, above, below, in front of, back, kaifa, how, come, how many, which, ayya. This is page 3. You go on and you will look at it and you say, my God, what is it? But this is the fact. What is it is a good question. Why? Because these are harf. By themselves, they'll mean nothing. But you have to know qabl is before, ba'd is after, heen is time period, is when. I'm now looking at page 4. All of these words, if you've been reading Quran all your life, you are familiar with. You know that they are there. But you need to know what they mean. But you also need to know that by themselves, they don't make sense. The word, the letter, the harf means something, which is the translation given to you, but by itself, it does not tell you and give you any information. So without any information, if you want to, learn these and be done with it. Okay, I'm not going to spend any more time on this. We now go to page 7 through 14, and it says at this exhibit, okay, when I want you to look at it, I'll ask you to look at the booklet, but otherwise look at the presentation. Page 7 through 14 comprise additional 18% of Quranic words, okay? Now, let me give you a little bit of the grammar because you're going to cover them. Very easy. This is the easiest part. 7 through 14 is the easiest part. Why? Because these are all nouns. We all know nouns. In Arabic, it's ism, not noun. And we'll go through that. And they comprise only, what, 6 to 14, 8 pages, I think. Yeah, 8 pages. They're all nouns. So here you can see, for example, now if you were to look at this book on page 7, he starts by some attributes of Allah, okay? So knowing, ever aware, khabir. And it says there 45. So the word appears 45 times. and so forth and so forth. Some attributes of Allah and others. He chose to bring those nouns in this particular subject matter. We're all, Nadir, the Imam today recited a lot of them in Dua Qanut, Bai, Tawab, Hafiz, Hakim, all of these are nouns, they're ism. Okay, now let's go back to the presentation here. In the contents of page 7 through 14 are ism. They are related to, for example, Allah's attribute, faith, religion, man, deeds, blessings, world. Obviously, because it's a Quran in which ism is going to be appearing many times as Allah's attributes about faith, about religion, all that. These are all called isms. Ism literally means, please look at the exhibit here, and is translated in English as name. Commonly, when you say, oh, this is ism, you say, oh yeah, that is name. No. Grammatically, ism is generally translated as a noun in English. However, an ism is more than a noun. A noun in English is a word for a person, place, thing, or an idea. Mamdu, Sugarland, table, idea, Islam. Those are the four things that comprise noun in English. So Islam, what is idea? Islam, education, that's an idea. Religion, it's an idea. Science, it's an idea. Morality, it's an idea. All those are ideas. So in English, a noun is a word for person, place, thing, or an idea. The ism in Arabic, however, is more than a noun of English. So it is all those four things that are in English known as noun, but it also includes adjective, which in English is called adjective. Adjective is, boy is a noun, good boy, good is an adjective because it says something more about a noun. But in Arabic, adjective is also considered part of the ism. So it's not just the noun, because noun only is four items: person, place, things, or idea. In Arabic, adjective is part of ism. Adverb, I am reading, or I read. Read is a verb. I read slowly. How do I read? Slowly. Gives more information about the verb. So it's called adverb. But adverb in Arabic is part of ism. So in ism, the traditional English noun plus the adjective plus the adverb and more. And I will not go into more, but just remember that ism of Arabic has got four things of English noun, adjective, adverb, and there are other things which you will learn if you want to reflect upon it and go further and delve into it. So now we'll quickly review this. Let's go to the booklet. And 7 through 14, there is hardly anything that I need to say. All I'm going to point out is, even if you just go to page 7, on the left is in English, then it is Arabic, then it says number 45. Okay. So it keeps on adding this. And now from page 7, for each page, he's giving you the page at the bottom, that the total words of this page alone are close to 2,000. Okay. And he says percent so far at the bottom, 44. Now he's saying a cumulative percent. He's saying that, okay, you've learned six pages. When you've finished page 7, you've learned 44%. Don't go with this arithmetic. The idea is that this is the frequency of these words appearing, okay? I'm not going to belabor this fact, okay? So then on the second page, page 8, he's talking about, and he's giving some noun. He's saying, well, these are noun of superiority, okay? Alam, better knowing. Akrab, more nearer. Akbar, bigger or larger. Allahu Akbar, larger. Hasan, best. He's saying better, but fine. And then he says some attributes: severe, strong, high, exalted, nowhere near. You get the point that, he's again pointing out that these are the words that you're familiar with. In Quran, they appear again and again. Then on page 9, he gives more nouns or more isms, and he says prophets and Allah's signs. So one column shows prophets and some prophets' names, and then he says Allah's signs, so sun, Shams, moon, Qamar, and all that. 2,700 words, okay, on page 9. Page 10, so on, page 11, so on, and so on and so forth. Now, you will notice that in this part, sometimes he's giving something in the bracket, okay? So, for example, on 7, if you see, on the second column, first first row, first row, first column or second column, depending on whether you're. Now we are looking at Arabic, so let's say call it a column 1 on page 7. It says awwal, first, and then it gives you ula, okay, ula, female gender, ula, okay. Akhir, akhira, okay. Akhar, ukhra. So he is pointing out that these particular nouns are not, their plurals are not normal plurals, okay? They're not normal plurals. They are broken plurals, that kind of thing. Don't pay attention to it if you don't want to. It's all okay, okay? All you do is you try to look at 7 through 18, 14 and say these are isms. And this is how he says frequently it appears. So for example, on page 7, second word from the left, Rab appears 970 times. If you've learned the word Rab, noun, ism, that is, he says in the Quran, you will find it 970 times. What he doesn't say here is that when he's talking about that, he's also talking about all the plural of the words, which he doesn't give you. He doesn't give you the plurals of all the words. So when he says Aziz, he's only talking about Aziz one, okay? So if you go to further nouns, like for example, take anything, that's easier for me to point out. Okay. River, okay. So he says river appears on page 10. It's a Nahar, of course, Nahar. We know Nahar. Rivers also is part of his total. He says river appears, Nahar appears as 54. All the combination of Nahar are incorporated in this total of 54. So all the combination of Nahars that you're going to see in the Quran, they will add up to 54. Okay, this thing will become more important as we go to it. I don't have anything more to say about this. 7 through 14, we review. I think I have reviewed this. If there are no question, we will go to 15 through 33 because that's where I'm going to spend most of my time. Okay. Any questions so far? If you have no questions so far, that means according to this booklet that you have familiar with 60% of the words and you have no questions about it, which is fine. And I was expecting no question because you shouldn't have any question. But if there is a question, go ahead.
Few people can question.
Okay, here is the first thing. First 6 pages, the words' meanings are given. But by themselves, they will mean nothing to you because there is nothing following it. If you say this, the second segment, 7 through 14, is all what you would like to call nouns. Okay, but because it will also have good in it, which is an adjective, it is in it, even though it's an adjective, because is includes adjective. If it says slowly, I don't know if it does say slowly somewhere, it's an adverb, it will appear here. Okay, so that's it. If you want to summarize, I just summarize page 1 through 14 again for Brother Rafiq. Okay. Okay, now, if in first 14 pages, which don't need any explanation, if your head is spinning, then you can just close your eyes and go to sleep. Because from 15 through 33 is where you really have to use your head. Now, if you're ready for it, let's go. So let's look at the exhibit, okay, here. Pages 15 through 33 cover 18,000 words, according to him, up roughly 23%. What does it contain? It contains primarily, and I say primarily because it does not, all of it is not verbs in it, but it says primarily verbs. And again, in Arabic, a verb is called fa'al. This much you should know, I hope. A verb is a word that has a past tense, present tense, and future tense. This is how you should remember a verb. Any word that has a past tense, that can have a past tense, a present tense, and a future tense is a verb. He did, he does, he will do. And a verb also is always a word of action. He does action. Okay, most of us, we don't do really. Like yesterday's lecture said, You don't translate everything that you learn about Quran into action, but a verb is a word of action, okay? So a word of action, which can have past tense, present tense, and future tense, is a verb, a fail. So far, so good? Okay. There is a fundamental difference, however, between a verb in English and fail in Arabic, okay? Remember, there is a fundamental difference between a verb in English and fail in Arabic. What is the difference? A verb is a word that conveys an action. For example, ate, past tense, writes, present tense, will learn, future tense. The verb, however, does not identify who did the action. It says ate, writes, will learn. This is the verb. This is what it will say in whatever tense. But it will not say who ate, who writes, who will learn. In Arabic, every active fail comes with an inside pronoun that is the doer of the act. What did I just say? If you see a fail in Arabic, an active fail in Arabic, it comes with an inside pronoun itself that is the doer of the act. So a fa'il, the doer of the act is called a fa'il. So akala. Akala means not ate. It means he ate. Where is the he in it? There is no he in it. It's verb? No. It has got an inside preposition in it, a pronoun in it. This is an active pronoun. He ate. Who ate? He ate. It was eaten. That's a passive. This is an active verb. It's not a passive verb. A passive verb would be it was eaten. Here, he ate. Active verb. He ate. The doer is already embedded inside this verb. If it doesn't spin your head, I don't know, you haven't understood yet. It should spin your head because all your life in English you have read did. If you want to say he did, you would put he. In here, you don't put he. He ate. Okay. So aktobo, I write. It says aktobo, one word, but the pronoun, the doer, is embedded in it. Big, huge difference between English and Arabic for this, okay? So again, a verb in English, for example, ate is not a complete sentence. Ate, not a complete sentence. However, a fail in Arabic is a complete sentence. It identifies the doer of the action as well. He ate. A verb in Arabic is a sentence. A verb in English is not a sentence. Huge difference. I'm sure 95% of people sitting here did not know that. Did anybody know that? Maybe one or two people, but did know. Huge difference, okay? If you cannot go beyond that, imagine you want to learn the Quran. You don't know this and you want to learn the Quran. Imagine. This comes from the first one or two lessons of the grammar anyways. So, yes.
So in like page number 15, when you move from here, like father,
we are going to go through that in very much detail. I'm just giving you the introduction so your head does not spin when you go to Fala and this, okay? All right. No, but did you understand this English I'm talking about here? This English, did you understand this exhibit? Did you understand this exhibit? Okay, all right. Now let's go to review at length, okay? Now, so now we look at the exhibit here. Page 1533, I'm introducing it. We've told you about this. Contains 23% of the Quranic words. Contents are primarily verbs. These pages illustrate a process. 15 through 33 are almost all, not all, but most of them are verbs. But they are verbs shown in a method called sarf, S-A-R-F, sarf. And the reason I'm going to be elaborating on this sarf is because in order for you to understand why is he doing what he is doing on 15 through 33, you have to know that, okay? So now pay attention to the exhibits. And as you are paying attention to the exhibits, distribute it amongst yourselves, okay? And then don't put your head down. I'll tell you when to go to the next page. Okay, so these are about 21. If there are more than 21, somebody will have to share. And if you don't have a pen, then we have a little bit of a problem, which means you didn't come prepared. Okay, if you came with a booklet and didn't come with a pen, then you have a problem. Okay, but anyway, just quickly, please distribute them so we can move on. All these exhibits that there is no walk quiz. Okay, I'm not going to test. I want to quickly finish this so I can say what I want to say at the end. Okay. The pages are as they will appear over. I have already gone through page 1 of your this. Is everybody with me? And by the way, these pages have got 2 sides. Okay. So the first page, whatever it is, I don't know what it is here. Yeah, we just went through that, didn't we?
Yes.
We went through that. Okay. So I'm assuming we have understood page 1. Okay. Now on here on my screen here, I'm on page 2. Don't look at the handouts that you have. Look at the exhibit. It has been done for you already here. Okay. Okay. Now on this page, there is a couple of corrections I want you to do. If you go to the last 2 lines, the last line, it says 5, 6, and 8. On your handouts, it says 5, 6, and 8. Second page. No, he's looking at page 3. Second page is on the other side. It says 5, 6, and 8. No, it should be 5, 6, and 7. Okay. If you don't have a pen, you have a problem. Okay. But if you do have a pen, fine. And if you don't have a pen, then you don't need to have a problem because this thing is recorded. You can always go and get this and get that. Okay. Small thing, but anyways. It will not make any difference, much difference, because I'll make a correction myself here and tell you. All right. Now, so I was at, yes, hand is up. Oh, I thought you. All right. Before we understand what we are going to see, 15 through 33, here is where I want you to understand. What is the process called surf? Look at the exhibit. Don't look at the handouts. Look at the exhibits. The process called surf, as Noman Ali Khan puts it, he's of Bayena Institute. I hope everybody know of him if you don't know him. Surf is the study of patterns and how these patterns impact the meaning of the word. In other words, it's a study of pattern, and the pattern has got a certain formula, okay? And if you're an engineer, you will get that much quickly than most others. If you're philosophers, you are in trouble. It is the study of the formula by which many words are created from just one word. It is the study of a formula by which many words are created from just one word. Now, I'd like you to look at, again, the booklet. We're going to go back and forth. And I'd like you to look at word fa'ala that my brother here had pointed out. Let's go 1 row down and look at the word fataha. Fataha is 1 word, right? We agree that fataha is 1 word. We will go through what is it and all that. And we just saw on the exhibit that it says, surf is the study of the formula by which many words are created from just 1 word. When I'm finished with this presentation at about noon, I'm just kidding, I will tell you that from 1 word, that is the fataha, theoretically, you can create 122 words. You have 19 pages, 15 through 33, if I believe, is 19 pages. You have got 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 words in each row. There are 13 rows. 19 by the 11 rows, I think. 11 rows, if I'm not mistaken. If you multiply all this, you get 195 words here. 195 words are given here, multiplied by 122 will take you to something like 20,000 words. Surf is the study of the formulas by which you can theoretically create 120 words from one word, okay? If that doesn't blow your mind, nothing will, okay? So generally, the surf process studies how to form 10 kinds of words. Generally, 10 kinds of words. This surf is called surf saghir, small surf, small surf. Surf kabir will take you to 122 words, okay? Now we're going to bring our expectations down, okay? If you do Brother Noman Ali Khan's course, and I've done them 7 years ago, in about a month and a half, he'll take you to surf, and you'll be able to theoretically get those 122 words. If you want to pursue that, you can do that. And we have done that in our books. We have done that. If you want to do just surf saghir, here I'm showing you 10 items. They comprise surf saghir. We'll go through that. In this book, page 15, if you see a row, the row has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's even smaller than surf saghir, small surf. It's only 5. If you go all the way down, the last row, it says passive voice. He is adding 3 more to that. Fa'ala, yaf'alu, top, fa'ala, yaf'alu, if'al, fa'il, fail. And then niche, down below, fu'ela, yuf'al, maf'ul. He is doing sarf saghir of 8. I'm showing here sarf saghir of 10. If you just want to pay attention to the rows, he's doing sarf saghir of 5. 5 what? We are going to come to it now, okay? So, let's go look at this exhibit again. Generally, the surf process studies how to form 10 kinds of words. 6 fails, that is verbs. 4 isms. In English, you may want to call noun. I'll just now, from now on, call it isms. Here is an example. There is an active past tense. He wrote. In English, he wrote. Doer is there, right? So, past tense is he wrote in Arabic. Kataba. Kataba, he wrote. It's an active past tense. So far, so good? Yes, anybody? Any questions? An active past tense in English would be did or wrote. But now we are talking Arabic. An active past tense such as kataba is he wrote. This is a past tense, okay? Now, let's just go through this first column here on the left. Forget about the next 2. In English, you have past tense, which is active. He wrote. In English, you have a present tense. He writes. In English, you have a verbal noun, idea, the idea of writing. In English, you have an active participle, the writer. I'm putting it here, the writer. In English, you have passive past tense where the doer is not identified. It was written. Who wrote it? We don't know. That's the passive voice. It was written. In English, you have passive present tense. It is written. We don't know who wrote it, but it is written. Again. Then you have a passive participle, not active participle. Something written. Or, for example, teacher. He is an active participle. Why? Because he does the action of teaching. And the student, he is the one to whom teaching is done. The student is the passive participle. Okay? So, active participle, the writer. Passive participle, something that is written. Or for example, if it is a teaching process, someone to whom teaching is being done to. Understood? I mean, it's pretty, this is like grade 4 English, okay? Command verb. The reason why we have a command verb is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts in a lot of commands in the Quran. Command verb. Write. Write with an exclamation point. Because in English, I mean, nobody commands, so we have to put an exclamation. Write, exclamation. But in Arabic, command verb has a special formulation, okay? And then there is time and place of action, okay? What is it? Writing, or let's say teaching. Teaching where? In the school. Or here, time and place of action. Maktabun. Maktab is the place. That is the time, a place of action. Where does the writing take place? Maktab. When does it take place? Again, it's also a place or a time of action. Now, in Arabic, for all these tenses, these 1 through 10, I just explained to you in English. In Arabic, this is how they will read. Past tense, kataba. Present tense, yaktubu. Verbal noun, the idea, kitabatan, kitab. Active participle, katibun, the writer. Passive past tense, kutiba, it was written. Present participle, yuktabo, it is written. Passive participle, maktub, it put to dhamma at the end. Maktub, that is something that was written. Maktub, something that is written. Command verb, uktub. Uktub is a command verb. The grammar will teach you how all these things are formed, by the way, okay? But we refuse to learn grammar, so you will not learn grammar. So that's it. Command verb, uktub. Forbidding word, Allah Ta'ala do a lot of forbidding. Tells us lot of forbidding. La taktub. It is a little softer than uktub. La taktub, taktub. And then there is time and place of action. Maktab, the place of teaching. Okay.
Here we added la.
Sorry?
We added la.
Yeah, but we also have a ta still there. What I'm saying is that in Arabic, forbidding verb will be written as la taktub, don't write. Okay, don't write. It's like a command, except it's a forbidding command. In other words, all the forbidding command will have la in front of them. Okay. If you say la taktub, that means it is the way it's written, it is an opposite of command. Do, don't do. Okay. Eat this, command verb. Don't eat this. It's like a command verb, except it's for a negation. It's a negation. So that's it. And maktab is a place. These are the 10, the surf process studies how to form these words, 10 kinds of words. How do you form kataba, yaktubu, kitabatan, and all that? It tells you how you form these words. When you do those 10, you have done Sarf Kabir for all the words. In this book, he has done 5 up here. And if you want to do 3 more, then it tells you how to do those 3 more, but he doesn't show you how. And here I've put in 10. I have learned 10. Some people learn even more than 10, but 10 are more than enough for the Quran. Okay. Is this clear now? And I have not gone through this page now. I just want to say, is what I've said here clear? Sarf is a process which tells you how you form these 10 words, past tense, present tense, verbal noun, active participle, passive participle, so on and so forth in Arabic. Is that clear? Okay. I'm assuming it's clear. Okay. Now, on next page, again, on the top, if you look in your handout, it says 5, 6, and 8. On the second line, it's an error. It's 5, should be 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now, this table, what it has done, the table has simply added what I said in English in the first column. I'm now telling it to you in Arabic. If you want to know it, fine. If you don't want to know it, forget it. It's okay. That's no problem. So past tense is called in Arabic, fi'l madi. Present tense, fi'l mudari. Verbal noun, there is Islam, idea, education. It's called masdar. Active participle, the writer ism fa'il, the one who does things. Passive past tense, fi'l madi, majhul. Majhul means passive. Passive part tense, fi'l mudari, majhul. Passive participle, ism maf'ul, something that is written. He write, the writer, something that is written is fi'l maf'ul, the one to whom it is done to. Command verb, amr. Forbidding verb, nahi. And time or place of action is called zarf. Those are the Arabic of these 10. All right. The order in which pages 15 through 13 appear are, now go to your booklet. And it says all these pages, they appear, the order in which pages 15 through 33 appear are from right to left. Now we are reading Arabic, so we will be reading right to left. The first word is the past tense. It says in solid, past tense. Fa'ala is past tense. Second word is present tense. Yaf'alo is present tense. In your booklet, you may want to write on top of fa'ala, it's past, top, present. If'al is imperative. Here it shows, in this exhibit, it shows if'al number 8. Fa'il is active participle. Number 4. And 5 is the idea, the verbal noun, fail. Okay. Those are the names of these columns. The rows have the verbs, which he says are appearing so many times in the Quran. The columns are what I just told you. The first column is past tense, the second column is present tense, the third column is imperative or command, the fourth column is active participle, and the fifth column is the act of whatever it is. So now, let's go to the second row. The second row says in English on the booklet that Fataha means to open. Fataha is also victory. But let's go with open. Fataha is past tense of open. And Fataha is an Arabic verb. So, and I will tell you that it's he did. It's past tense. I'm sorry, he opened. The meaning of the word fath is open, to open. Fataha is past tense verb. He opened. Why he? Because he already is embedded in it. He opened.
I think this is real good, but I think maybe you should break it into 2 sessions. Because now you want to.
Your brain is fried? Okay, that's fine. I can start this some other day. That's fine. No, I can do that. Absolutely no problem. The only thing is, after this, I will do only one more lecture that will refer to grammar, and then I will be sick and tired of you listening to any grammar, and I will not point out any more grammar. Why? Because it's the reason for it is the purpose of doing all this was to point out to you that if you want to memorize the words and get a quick grip on the Quran, you are whistling in the wind. Okay. All this booklet will do is for someone to memorize these words. That's all it will do. What this process that I will explain in the next 30 or 40 minutes will do is it will make sense of what all is there and why is it there. And it will end up by saying, if you do this, it will be able to do that. Are you going to do this? My guess is 90% no. You're not going to do it. Because I know people, I know myself. But if you do this, then at least you will become familiar with a whole bunch of the Quran. But at the end of this, if you just were to buy this book for $5, which it is costing, and go through this and say, I'm going to memorize these words You will end up memorizing these words. You will know about 80% of the words of the Quran, but you will not know anything about the Quran, nothing.
I think so, right? I think the session is good if you break it 2 sessions, so we can digest this whatever you told us.
Yes.
And next week come and
If you want to do that, I'm ready to expend one more presentation on that. That's fine. I have no problem. 1 through 14 is clear. It's the easiest thing, you know. I don't have a 7-year-old or 8-year-old grandchild. But if I had a grandchild and if I had, pushed onto him from grade 2 and onwards, he would start memorizing and he would memorize the page 1 through 14. But he knows, at the end of it, he knows diddlywit. He only knows his harf and some nouns, but he has no idea what the Quran is. Okay. So, yeah, page 1 through 14 tells you what huruf are, what isms are, and the number of times it appears simply says how frequently it appears. So it has got a lot of value in that regard. Okay. But if you know a word this or a word that or a word that, you don't know what it all is. So I will end it here. Okay. So consider this session ended. Here is a word that Brother Mamdouh and I were going together last Monday in the car. And obviously we are nuts about this. So we started talking about Arabic and all that. So I told him about the word sanastadrijuhum. Sanastadrijuhum. It appears in, let me see now, min haythu la ya'lamun, Wallazina, oh yeah, it's on in Surah 7, okay? Ayat 182. Wallazina kazzabu bi ayatina sanastadrijuhum min haythu la ya'lamun. Okay? Now, look at the word sanastadrijuhum. All Arabic words have 3 letters. Okay, it was going to be coming here, but we have now given this up. 3 root letters. Sanastadrijuhum. So Brother Mamdouh says, oh, I read it, I just pass it by. Fine. I mean, you have the blessing of being an Arab, you know Arabic well, you also have had some grammar back when you were a little boy, but then you gave up on grammar, it's okay. But he reads it and he kind of knows what it says. So now, first you have to learn that in Sanastadrijuhum, where are those 3 root letters? Sa, na, Sin, Ta, Da, Ra, Ji, He, Mim. At least 9 letters are there. Where on earth are those 3 root letters? You don't know. And you won't know until you know what is at the end of it, what is in the front of it. And so what should I strip off until I find my 3 root letters? Okay. I'll tell you exactly what it is. Seen, when it comes, it will say that this word eventually is a verb and it is a future verb, future tense verb. In other words, if it says eat, it doesn't say eat. The scene will say that it says will eat. So the scene, your grammar will tell you, if the scene comes before a certain verb, it is going to be a future tense. The noon, if you have learned the Arabic, is going to tell you that it is we. It is a plural first tense we. Noon is pertaining to the plural, first person plural noon. And then you say, what is seen and ta? And you are completely stumped here because alif is missing here. It's actually alif, or hamza we call it, seen and te. And you say, what is alif, seen and te? And you don't know. Why? Because you don't know various forms of verbs. And there are 10 families of verbs. Family number 10 is identified as a alif, seen and te. If it appears before a verb, it becomes family number 10. We read Surah Fatiha at least 17 times a day in the prayers. Iyyaka nasta'in. Iyyaka nasta'in. Do you know that noon is the noon that I just spoke about? And Sin and te is really an abbreviation of alif, sin and te, and nast, they've joined it and alif is gone. You don't know about it. And nasta and een is us. Okay, we'll come to that later. We read nasta'in and we do not know it comprises a family 10 verb. Noon is we Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, yeah, no, we are saying asta'in. We seek. What is help?
Yeah.
Thank. We don't know that. So anyway, so ast is for family 10 verb. And daraja, finally you come, oh good God, fine. Dal, re, and j. Those are the 3 root letters. Hum is an attached pronoun for third person plural. Whom means they, them in English. Okay. Sa, na, ast, daraj, hum. Now you've got the pieces. I've just divided the pieces. So my teacher says, when you want to find the root letters, whatever is attached, first remove it. So I know whom is attached to it. It is an attached pronoun. I remove it. Then he says, whatever's in ahead of it and means something that you have now learned, because I've learned, seen, remove it. It's attached. Noon, it pertains to we. It is again an attached pronoun. Now you've got us, daraj. And us, remember I told you it is in family 10, which if you had patience, you would have found it is in family 10. So that's that. Now you have finally found the root. Now, what does sanas tadrejuhum say? Seen was for future, noon was for us, ist was a special type of verb, because if you say dareja, I go up. Step by step, I go up. But if I say ist dareja, it means something more. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not saying I just go up, but I will lead on step by step, gradually. All this is embedded in ast daraja. Okay. Whom, them. Okay. Now, istareja, sanastadrijuhum, we will cause them to ascend step by step, gradually. Sanastadrijuhum, the master translator that I follow says sanastadrijuhum will only be given to you the essence of that meaning as we noon will seen cause them is whom, cause to ascend step by step gradually. Cause to ascend step by step gradually is istadreja. Istadreja is cause to ascend step by step gradually. If I just said dareja, to ascend step by step. Do you see the difference between to ascend step by step and cause somebody to ascend step by step gradually? That's the difference between form 1, dareja, and ist dareja, form 10. Now, why all this is important? If you were to go through page 1 through 14 through 33 in these, you would know. Now I'll recite the ayat. وَالَّذِينَ كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا سَنَسْتَدْرِجُهُم مِّنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Wow appears in the first 6 pages, and allazina appears in first 6 pages. The one who. Kazzabu. It's not kazabu, it's kazzabu. It's form 2 of verb. We will firmly reject. If it said kazabu, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said kazabu, it means we will, those who reject. Allazina kazabu, those who reject. Allazina kazzabu, Those who firmly reject, you will not know this firmly, and you will not know that Allah Ta'ala has put emphasis, unless you know that there is a shadda upon dal, which is form family 2 of the verb. Otherwise, the firmly will go away from your mind, because you don't know anything about form 2, family 2 of the verb. In the ast daraja, the form 10, you don't know anything about, you will just remember daraja. Oh, he says, Allah Ta'ala is saying, we will take him up, or we will ascend it. That's it. You will not get, we will cause them to ascend gradually. You will lose that. Okay. So then, be ayatina. Again, be is appearing first 6 pages here. Ayat appears in the 7 through 14. So you should know be ayatina. Sanath rujum is what I'm talking about. Min appears in, and Heso appear in first 6 pages. Min is from Heso in whatever way. Heso is wherever, in whatever way. La appears here in the first 6 pages. No, not. Ya'lamun. Ya'lamu appears in page 15. And Ya'lamuna, if you were to learn grammar, it would say Ya'lamuna, them. Ya'lamu, he knows. Ya'lamuna, they know. La Ya'lamuna, they do not know. So in this particular ayat, you would have known pretty much everything that is appearing in this. How powerful is this ayat, do you know? He's saying, and those, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, first he talks about those who are rejecting, and they are adamant at rejecting the ayats. Then he comes and says, and those who firmly reject our ayat, we will cause them to ascend step by step, gradually, in ways they will not know. They will not know what hit them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, those who firmly reject my ayat, I will cause them to move on in this world, go on in this world, one step by step, gradually. They are going step by step until they die. They're going step by step,